You ever hear of Lent? No, not lint, Lent. Lint you find in your belly button. What we don't say? Belly button, sorry. Never mind. We are talking about Lent, not lint, on this episode, not episode, of Chuck Knows Church. Lent is observed in the liturgical year for approximately 6 weeks, considered a time of preparation leading up to Easter. Is this awkward for anyone else? I think we're good. Thank you. In most Western Protestant churches, Sundays are not counted as part of Lent. So the time from Ash Wednesday until Easter is 40 days, when Sundays are excluded. This is to recognize the 40 days that Jesus spent fasting in the desert, where he endured temptations before beginning his public ministry. Now, as we said, Lent is a time to prepare for Easter. In fact, the church focuses on increasing spiritual disciplines such as prayer and repentance, or self-denial, like giving up sweets or fatty foods, or the mispronunciation of words like Lent. All this provides an example to those preparing to live out the covenant of baptism. Now that's why Lent can also be a time to take on something, a chance to improve yourself, grow spiritually, work on relational or bodily fitness, learn to juggle. Whatever it is you choose to do or not do, it's about enhancing the discipline of the whole body for conversion from sin and death to love and life in Jesus Christ. Now, my favorite part is right before Lent on Shrove Tuesday, aka Fat Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday, and right after No Interesting Nickname Monday. Fat Tuesday is where we eat up all the good food in the house to prepare for the fasting season of the 40 days of Lent, which always translates to a pancake breakfast at our church. There we go. Can I get a fork? Someone? Anyone? A fork?
We already did the Shrove Tuesday episode.
Okay, did you ever hear of seconds?
Well, I love the way that Chuck Knows Church helps take a serious subject and make it quite humorous there. But we also learn a few things, and the reason we're talking about Lent now is that by the time it begins, it's a little bit difficult to make a commitment to observances during Lent if you wait until the beginning of Lent to think about it. So these 4 weeks that are leading up until Ash Wednesday, which is indeed practiced by us with a pancake supper the evening before. You'll want to be a part of that. And then Lent actually begins on Ash Wednesday, which is the first Wednesday of March. So you really have a short month to get ready for the observance of Lent. And one of the curious things about Lent, of course, is the numbering thing. We talk about the 40 days of Lent, but then when you actually count on the calendar, there's more than 40, because 40 refers to the weekdays, but it really doesn't include the Sundays. Lots of people interpret that in a lot different ways, and so you may actually read things that contradict. In some traditions, if you make a discipline of abstaining from something, like certain foods, they teach that, well, you're exempt from that on Sunday, because Sunday is never a day of fasting. It's always a day of feasting. Even during Lent, it's a time when we celebrate. Sunday is the Lord's Day, the resurrection. So you may want to actually do that. If there's something that you feel like is a good discipline, you can designate it for certain days. You can do it 7 days a week, 6 days a week, whatever. Do what works for you. But the symbol that's most important to me when I stop and think about it is that the work of Lent really begins on Monday. It's what we do during the week or what we don't do during the week. I'm going to be putting together a printed list of some things to get you thinking, but the simple challenge is to think of at least one thing you can add during the season of Lent, and at least one thing that you can subtract. Now, I'll give a whole bunch of suggestions, but don't go overboard. Maybe you'll want to do more than one, but don't make your list too long. Make it something that will be easy to hang on to, and it doesn't have to be what your neighbor chooses. This can be something that works for you. If you're willing, it'd be really cool if you'd be willing to email me by the beginning of Lent on what your covenant is. And we'll be sharing some examples of that with no names attached, so you'll kind of get an idea of what your fellow church members are adding or subtracting during Lent. We'll be using this video each midweek as a way of thinking a little further about that. So take your time, be prayerful about that. Don't just quickly make a choice. Don't pick the things you're already doing. Push yourself in a way to maybe go a little further than you normally would. Don't worry if you mess up a little bit. Sometimes we have an intention to give up something or add something, and then a day just gets away from us. That doesn't mean you have to start from scratch. Just realize that the grace of God and His understanding of our weakness is very, very real all year long, but especially during the season of Lent. Let Pastor Craig or me know if you have any questions, things you want to talk about. And I pray that these 4 weeks leading up until Ash Wednesday and our beginning of Lent will indeed be a blessing to you. Remember that Ash Wednesday begins Wednesday, March the 5th, 4 weeks away. And so I pray that you will indeed find special ways to make this a time of your personal spiritual growth, and that we as a church family can encourage each other in that. God bless, and I hope to see you this Sunday.